I went back to the doctor and said, I'm still not feeling right, I still can't breathe, I've got a chest, I think it's a chest infection, and he said, oh yeah, I can hear some crackles on your lungs, I'll refer you to the local hospital and take it from there. So after further tests, they discovered it was, they gave it a name, then said we think it may be IPF or pulmonary fibrosis. We don't know why, so of course it became idiopathic then because they couldn't understand why. When I was first diagnosed, the prognosis wasn't great. You know, you are slowly going to get worse. You won't get any better. You may get worse very quickly, and you've got a life expectancy of 2.5 to 5 years, average 3 years, and your symptoms will get worse. Never even considered people having lung transplants. It wasn't something that came into our daily thoughts. So when you're given this option, this is your only option, or you will probably die. It was quite scary. It was quite horrendous, really. Yeah, having the transplant's fantastic. When you're ill and with this disease, you have to think about every breath. You have to physically make yourself breathe in and breathe out, and you're always aware of it. Whereas before, when you're breathing naturally, you just do it. It's just something that you do. And now I'm back to just it being something that I do. I don't think about it. I can just breathe, and that is such a godsend. That is so fantastic.
When I went to the doctor, he prescribed me inhalers to start with, but they didn't really do much good. So the doctor then referred me to Dumfries and Galloway in Pimbury, where I saw the lung specialist, who sent me for x-rays, and then that's when they discovered the scarring on the lungs, and I was diagnosed. Well, I can't run for a bus, you know, things like that. I don't go to football matches now, standing all the time, you know. But apart from that, I'm leading a normal life. I'm 75 years old, so I'm not exactly running about playing football. If anyone that's newly diagnosed, I would say, get out and get yourself about and fight it. Don't sit down in the house and just think about it yourself. Get out and meet your friends and have a go at life.
Worldwide, over 2 million patients will be diagnosed with acute respiratory distress syndrome this year. In the United States alone, about 200,000 patients will be diagnosed with ARDS. About half of those patients will die. ARDS is a syndrome that occurs after one of 60 known precipitation causes. It attacks the lungs and renders them to breathe ineffectively. After admission to the hospital, ARDS strikes within 24 to 48 hours. Within 2 days, the patient's lungs will show a whiteout on chest x-ray. This means that they are in complete distress and not functioning properly. ARDS is always a critical medical condition that requires a team of health professionals. Patients always require mechanical ventilation, which leaves the body vulnerable. Complications are quite common and often deadly with ARDS patients. These complications can include sepsis, hospital-acquired infections, and multi-organ failure. Patients can be hospitalized for weeks, often months.
It's a reaction of the lung to a variety of different insults, either after a trauma like a car accident or a severe bloodstream infection or pneumonia. And in many ways, the lung goes into shock, and then people require life support, mechanical ventilators, and generally end up in an ICU for a long period of time.
When I was 33 years old, I was struck down with lower back pain, and literally 2 days later, I was in the hospital fighting for my life. I ended up in the hospital for 9 weeks. I was on a vent for 8 weeks. I was in a drug-induced coma for 4 weeks.
Back in 1998, my sister had some minor surgery. Approximately 2 or 3 weeks later, her wound wasn't healing, it was just minor surgery, and she developed a high fever. So we took her to the ER. Within 2 days, She told us she couldn't breathe. During the lung biopsy, her lung collapsed, and that's when they put her on a respirator. And she never came off the respirator. She was in the hospital for 8 weeks, during which time they were doing various tests, and we also found out she had leukemia. The doctors were confident they could cure the leukemia if they could just get her through the ARDS, but we never had that chance.
So because of my large nose, I need to up the size. And that's as long as it takes. Let's go ahead and try this on and sleep with it a little bit.